Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Points of Articulation. My name's Dave and it's Micro Machine March. So today we're looking at the U.S.S. Farragut NCC-60597 from the Star Trek Micro Machines collection. Very cool ship. Now you could get this in either the Star Trek Collection number 11, the movie set, or you could buy the Star Trek Micro Machines Collector set number 2. This one comes with the Defiant, the Stargazer, and a bunch of future ships. It's really cool. It's a nice set. And this was released around 1995. The class of the ship is the Nebula class, for those who don't know. But this can be modified. Now, you'll be noticing it has this wedge here. That could be either a sensors pod or a weapons pod, and it has some torpedoes on it and stuff. Very interesting. Now, you may think to yourself it looks a lot like the Enterprise D, and that's because, just like the Miranda to the Enterprise refit, it is a kit bash, so it does have similar parts constructed in a different way, and it's really cool. So for the size of this ship, it's a little under 2 inches long, but it's nice. It's got some girth to it. So we have a lot to talk about. We got a great mold. The paint is pretty decent, so let's get this review started. Starting off this review looking at the mold, geez, where do I begin? I guess we'll start with the saucer. We got our bridge, phaser strip, Aztecan design. We got our escape pods. We got some windows molded in. Just very nice. Back here we have our shuttle bay for the underneath of the dish. Look at all that. Aztec and phaser strips. All these painted little raised rectangles for the escape pods. Very nice. For the warp nacelles, we have some nice designs on there with lines. And then for the bottom, it curves up. Same for the other side. On the bottom right here, we have phaser strips, unpainted escape pods, unpainted phaser strips at the bottom here. But then we have our peg hole. And I like the little lines inside the secondary hole's deflector dish. Just look at all that nice little lines there. Very sharp. I always like that. And I always like these little 3 little divots they put into the warp nacelles buzz-art collector. I like that. Coming to the back of the ship, on a secondary hull, it's a little hard to make out, but there are tons of windows molded in. Very nice. On these pylons, there is some detail right underneath. Right there, where the dish meets the pylon. You can see a phaser strip right there and there. Very cool. And then we have this tower in the back, which it has a little molding on the back here, but nothing really on the sides. We have a support beam there, which didn't really help because mine is a little warped. As we can see, the weapons pod is slanted, but it's okay. Now getting to this pod, which was one of my favorite parts of this ship, we can see there's tons of little lines in there coming around. Like, of course, we got our line from the mold, but look at all that great detail. The panels, the modules, just great. And here we can see the tiny little details in these gray parts. Raised sections, a bunch of lines. Little ball right there. Very nice. I really like this design so much. Now that we looked at the great mold, let's take a look at the paint. Alright, looking at this paint job, it is pretty damn good. Now the first main color we see here is a nice duck egg blue. And that's the main color. And I like it. It reminds me a lot of the other Federation ships from the era. They all had that color. Now what else do we got here? We got some gray for the phaser strips. The shuttle bay doors back here they painted on top of the weapons pod or sensors pod, whatever you want to say it is. And then we have some gray underneath here for more phasers. And underneath that panel as well. Very nice. Now, we do have some white for the escape pods going around. And also on the bottom. And then also we have red on these 2 warp nacelles and also the deflector dish. Blue for the sides of the warp nacelles and the deflector dish. And then one of the last colors we have is yellow. And we can see that for the thrusters on the sides. on the sides of the weapons pod. And underneath we have the yellow wrapped around the warp nacelles on the tip and back of the Buzzard collectors. Now the only other stuff I have to say is the decals, which are nice and crisp. We have right here, we have our Delta for the Federation and NCC with the number there, 60597. Same for right here. And also we got red right there. Forgot about that. And again right here. And nothing really on the back except the gray for the phaser strips. So very nice paint job. I think they did a great job on this. Really impressive. No smears or anything like that. Very clean for the most part. And I like it a lot. So now we looked at the paint in the mold. Let's put it on a stand, compare it, and then we'll be done for today. Just like most of Galoob's micro machines, comes with a cool translucent stand. Just peg it in the port like so. And you're good to go. For comparison, I have it next to the Enterprise D, the second version with the dish that pops off. And they go great together. I know scale-wise, the Nebula class is smaller than the Galaxy. But I don't know, I think they go great together and they look pretty damn good. Even though they're not to scale, I think it is a pretty close match to the saucer size. And that does it for my review today of the Star Trek Micro Machines U.S.S. Farragut NCC-60597. So I really like this ship. It was in a couple movies. It was in Star Trek Generations. It was one of the ships that saved the crew of the Enterprise D when it blew up. Different ship models that are very similar to this were seen throughout the Next Generation era, Deep Space Nine. There was one or two in Voyager at one point with the Prometheus. Where else was it seen? First Contact. It was in the battle with the Borg. Very nice ship, very iconic, and I personally love the design. It's one of my favorites, and I always considered it a science ship. I don't know, that's just me. Even though all Federation ships are mostly science ships, except a couple like the Prometheus or the Defiant, I don't know, it just looks non-aggressive to me. Now, like I mentioned before, this is under 2 inches long. Now you could get this two ways. Star Trek Collection number 11, the movie set, releasing around 1995. Or you could also get the Star Trek Collector set number 2, which is a little more pricey, but if you shop around, you can get it, trust me. I've been looking for this thing for, Christ, maybe 7 years, and I found the whole set. Of course it didn't have the U.S.S. Defiant, or the NX Defiant, but it had everything else, and I got it for $25. Which, go on eBay right now and look up Star Trek Collection number 2. And, yeah, you'll see what a deal I got on that. Because they go for sometimes over $100. But anywho, like I mentioned before, it's a nice ship. The paint's good. Very iconic. And I fully recommend it for anybody who's a fan of the Federation, the Next Generation, or starships in general. It is a great design. And what's neat is, like I mentioned before again, it's a kit bash. It's basically the same ship as the Enterprise D. They just put it together in a different way. And I like it for that. It's very Miranda class-like when compared to the refit of the Enterprise in the original movies. So that's all I have to say about this ship. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, it's Micro Machine March. So every day this March, 2017... we'll be looking at a new Micro Machine shipper vehicle until the 31st. So thanks for watching again, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.